Sorry for last week not having a video. I was really burned out due to work and mentally not in a good place. I'm still recovering, so to speak, throughout my holiday, and this is why this video is not me alone talking, but I've got a little bit help for this video. And yeah, this is actually all I have to say. I think I'm gonna take another break after this video for like 2 weeks or 1 week. I don't know so for sure. But yeah, everything should be fine. And then after I take this another other break, it should return to a normal schedule of me talking about comics or movies or whatever. So I hope you enjoyed this change of pace, special. I've worked quite hard on it, and we're gonna talk in the outro again a little bit later.
Hey guys.
All right, I've watched the first episode of Miss Marvel. You watched the first episode of Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Well, yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised with how it turned out. As I say, before I watched it, I was very skeptical about the power change. Now I've watched it, however, I actually really enjoyed the first episode. Um, I like how they've gone about it. Not just the powers, but balancing the cultural side of Kamala Khan. Even the cinematography was good as well. There was a part of it where they they went through a text message conversation, and it was done rather than showing the kind of overlay uh, with the conversation of the text like they usually do in series. It was done with the kind of environment, which kind of made the transition through the scene a lot smoother and nicer to watch. But yeah, no, my opinion, I actually really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they continue through the rest of the series.
Yeah, I really liked it too. I've I've known the comics. I read the first comic book a while ago. So yeah, like you said, the changes with the powers, I don't really understand why they did it.
No,
But
no, neither do I. 'Cause I mean, she was a stretcher. We did get a little bit of a stretch in there, but it seems more like a. I think, as you mentioned, we spoke about it previously, like Green Lantern's power. That's what it
yeah,
seems like, which is probably an accurate way of describing it. But yeah, no, it's interesting because I thought it was going to be quite bang on with how Captain Marvel's powers are, or even Monica Rambeau, now that her powers have kind of come into it. So yeah, it's not the slightly different, which is pleasing because it seemed a bit silly if they were going to change. But what we assumed they changed her powers forward because of Mr. Fantastic being the first stretcher. Um, yeah, it would be a bit silly to then have three people with a very similar power set. So it being slightly different is interesting. Although her powers do seem to come from a family heirloom, which is the only thing that kind of itches me a bit. Is that okay? Are her powers being activated by this family heirloom, or is it just the power is coming from the family heirloom itself? In which case, anybody who wears that family heirloom will also get the powers as well, which therefore means, well, Kamala Khan isn't as special as we'd like her to be. So I'm hoping that gets explained further in the series as well.
yeah. I mean, the her powers playing an essential part in the first volume of her solo series.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, in the comic books, it plays into her identity, who she is, and how she comes to the name of Miss Marvel. Because just like in the comics, she's a super fan of Captain Marvel, which makes more sense in the comics to be like a super fan of Carol Danvers.
Yeah, yeah.
While in the MCU, Carol hasn't done so much.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting as well because we don't know to the extent of what her powers can do now that they've changed them slightly. We don't know how powerful she can be, or what actually she can do with her powers. Whether it's pretty much anything with what looks like, as we say, like some sort of telekinetic projection. Um, how strong that is, what it can actually do. Um, because she did have when she first put uh, I don't know, it's a bracelet or wrist gauntlet thing. She somehow had this kind of energy over herself, um, and before she fell back into what looks like some sort of other dimension.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it would be yeah, it's interesting to see how they develop and to what extent.
I mean, one possible explanation for why they changed it is because in the comics, Kamala is an inhuman, and the MCU hasn't really treated the Inhumans right,
Yeah,
uh, uh, to the point that people got a little bit sick of them. So maybe they're careful of putting the Inhumans again into any of their properties. I mean, Black Bolt, who is the king of the Inhumans, was in Doctor Strange, but that wasn't really a big role or anything, or
yeah,
he hadn't really much screen time. But yeah, it's going to be interesting how they changed it up because, like I said, in the comics, it's very important to identity and character itself. Uh, while in the MCU, Captain Marvel herself hasn't done that much solo or as part of it. The Avengers, at least not on Earth,
yeah,
where you could be like, oh, I'm such a fan because she did that and that. Mostly what she has done is outer space, where humans don't really go or get to know what they did.
yeah.
Even now, it's still quite unclear what actually happened during Endgame to the most of the public.
Well,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, Kamala's character is interesting, not only for that reason, for with having this fixation on Captain Marvel, which I guess Captain Marvel's essentially an underdog because she just kind of comes out of nowhere and is all powerful. Um, so it makes sense to Kamala Khan being this kind of nobody who comes out of nowhere, essentially, the same way. Um, but it's interesting because of Kamala's cultural background and how that blends with her wanting to kind of take this, well, in essence, a center stage, which she hasn't had before. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, I like how they've blended everything together about her character. Although, again, her personality does seem to be a copy and paste of Kate Bishop at the minute. I'm getting a very strong Kate Bishop vibe from how she's being portrayed. As I say, it's only the first episode. There might be a development with her character. Of course, there's going to be development with her character. But yeah, just from previously, obviously watching the Hawkeye series and now, uh, looking at Kamala's first appearance. Yeah,
yeah, they have very similar uh, introductions, so to speak. They're both obsessed with an Avenger. They're both kind of quirky, but
well,
uh, uh,
yeah,
but I mean, for Kamala doesn't see herself as a hero yet, or
hmm
in want to become a hero, while Kate saw Hawkeye swing at that building,
yeah,
during the first Avengers film, and it made her want to train in all those different martial arts and archery, so she could be confident and strong enough to be a hero herself.
yeah.
Uh,
I
but
guess.
uh,
Sorry, go on.
but yeah, I really kind of liked how they introduced her. They showed that she's smart, that she's able to form complicated plans and mostly execute them.
Mhm.
How she planned them, how imaginative she is, and not only that, you spoke of that before with the cinematography, the editing. They show her thought processes quite literally. Like you don't get her saying, I'm gonna do this or that. You really get to experience her daydreams, and I thought that was really good. And then the whole cultural aspect,
Yeah.
because the creator of Kamala is a Muslim, and
Mhm.
she thought it was important to show a modern day
Muslim teenager in New Jersey and put it as quite realistic as possible. So to speak, you have Spider-Man sort of character
Yeah.
for not just Muslims but general comic book enthusiasts, but mostly someone that caters to the Muslims and shows we're not just terrorists and media, we can be heroes too.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important message.
Well, it's good because I feel like just the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general is kind of having a very good stance in other cultures. So, for example, the Black Panther movie really spoke to obviously black people. It really did. It kind of it fought the two ideologies in the black community against each other, with obviously Killmonger representing the kind of tortured soul, and Black Panther being the kind of proud person. And then you've got Moon Knight, which also touches on kind of like Egyptian lore, which is quite nice as well. We get to kind of explore these different cultures that perhaps wouldn't usually take center stage as heroes and superheroes. When you think of a superhero, you kind of immediately think of a Captain America or Superman style character. You don't immediately think of someone like Moon Knight or Kamala Khan. So yeah, it's nice, and it's subtle as well. There's no kind of heaviness to it. It's not kind of force fed like, oh look, she's a Muslim. She's a Muslim. Do you know what I mean? It's very smooth and nice as they've gone through it, and it's not kind of made that her identity, but it's made it very clear at the same time, which makes it there's a very good balance there, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays it's so often, you want to show diversity and that you're all inclusive of all different people, but you make it too obvious without the subtext. While here, you get to notice it's important to Kamala's identity, personality, and her heritage to show, yes, she's connected to those beliefs, and she wants to be like that. She wants to be a good daughter. She doesn't really want to be rebellious, but with all this happening, I mean, the catalyst in episode 1 is the Avengers Con. It shows something that she's passionate about. There's all this superhero stuff. She writes fan fiction. She makes YouTube videos. All that stuff is a different side of her that she's really passionate about, and you get to see her wanting to fight for that, what she's passionate about. And as a teenager, you don't really rationalize her parents try at least to make a peace offering, to but she doesn't accept it. And I really like the subtlety, because not everything has to be like in your face, and it's gonna be interesting. I thought that it was a very strong opening, although we have no clue who could be the main villain or anything like that. This was just about her establishing her character, and I think that's not too bad of an opening to just focus on your main character, establish who that is. With like many characters, like for example Hawkeye, you don't need that because you pretty much know who Hawkeye is, or you have an idea of who he is. Same goes for Loki or
WandaVision.
or that,
Yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, it's already established characters, aren't they?
Yeah, so you don't need to like super focus on them, but here I think it's quite important to focus on who she is before you can show something else. And I believe she's still connected to Captain Marvel through the heirloom that she got. In the comics, there are the negabands, which were used by both Captain Marvel, his son Janiswell, as well as his daughter, I think Philavel, or maybe she used the quantum the quantum bands, which are quite similar to the nega bands. And those are the nega bands were created by the Kree, and the Kree had control over Carol Danvers, so to speak, in the MCU, as Carol was sort of like in the military of the Kree. So the connection is still there, and it's going to be interesting, especially later, to see how Kamala, aka Miss Marvel, gonna be interacting with Cap Marvel when Brie Larson decides to come back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, yeah. As I say, as a first episode for setting up the series, I'm pleased with it. Considering, I'd say, I went in there skeptical, thinking, "Oh, fine, I'll watch it just because it's part of the MCU and we'll see where they've gone." But yeah, it has made me more intrigued now to watch the rest of the series rather than just kind of go, I think I might skip this one. So yeah, I'm pleased at the minute. Yeah, positive vibes.
Yeah, I'm pleased too, because it also means content for me for the next couple of weeks, to be honest. But yeah, we're gonna wrap it here. I hope you liked joining me
Of course.
in this short venture.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the viewers like this change of pace too.
Yeah.
And
For more content like this, like and subscribe.
Okay, fuckity bye.